New York City, summer 1930. Prohibition, it's in full swing. Speakeasies, they hum behind unmarked doors. Politicians, they shake hands in smoke-filled back rooms. Broadway glows every night like nothing bad could ever happen beneath its lights. But corruption runs just under the surface. And on August 6th, 1930, one of the most powerful men in the state of New York walked right into that glow and vanished. His name was Joseph Force Crater. He was a sitting New York Supreme Court justice, and he disappeared without a trace. Welcome back, everybody, to the Your Town podcast. The voice you're hearing, it's me, it's Matt, it's Beardlaws, and joining me as always, the beautiful Dun Dun Queen, Meg.
Hello.
What's up? Happy President's Day. It's the day when all the presidents have a day, I guess. Is that what President's Day is?
I don't really know.
All I know is the kids don't have school, and where we are, it's a midwinter break because winter sucks so bad they decide to give you one off just to deal with it. And, well, the people with money go on extra vacations, but not us. We're staycationing and basketballing and
The rest of us play basketball.
doing all of life things. But at least we're not caught up in Prohibition in the 1930s. Well, could be worse. The one thing that jumped out to me was the smoke-filled rooms. Ever remember having to walk into a tavern or a bar and it was just full of smoke, and you open the doors and the smoke rolls out, and you pretty much have to just burn your clothes after and then go home and take a shower?
Wasn't that long ago.
Wasn't that long ago, but everybody
It can stay there.
It can stay there. I don't miss it one bit. Yeah, times were different. They sure are now, and life is crazy busy here, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to the friends of the show. Make sure you guys check out livebearded.com. Use code BEARDLAWS, huh, Meg?
Yes.
Yeah, some good stuff. Got that new bar soap, American, because you said last week you love American, so I went and stocked up.
I do. I love it.
Tombstone's pretty good as well. And make sure you guys check out Squatch Juice. I am feeling refreshed and energetic after having my... Guess what flavor I had today?
Mango pineapple.
Good guess.
Strawberry kiwi.
Strawberry kiwi. A little strawberry kiwi energy and focus. And I'm energized and focused. So I'm ready to go. Check them out if you want. If not, well, that's on you. You're really missing out. Big fan of that Squash Juice. I even tried like one of the cheaper ones that we bought at Save a Lot, and it just did nothing for me. Nothing for me. But I'm hooked. Line and sinker. There's worth things to be hooked on, though.
Agreed.
Cool. Want to jump into this?
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about old Joseph Force Crater. He was born 1889, Easton, Pennsylvania. I think that's where they came up with the Easton hockey stick.
Yeah.
Possible.
I don't know.
I don't really know either.
Sounds good.
We'll go with it. Pennsylvania. Not only was it America's oldest brewery, which is
Milwaukee,
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
Yuengling, America's oldest brewery, 1809, Pennsylvania. He came from modest beginnings, worked his way through education, and graduated from Columbia Law School in 1912. And that matters, Meg. He wasn't some accidental appointee. He was trained, he was ambitious, and he was socially polished. Joseph, he built a legal career in New York City and became closely aligned with Tammany Hall, the Democratic political machine that dominated New York politics for decades. You probably heard all about it in your history classes, right?
I didn't really pay attention in history lessons.
Nobody pays attention in history classes.
I had a reason.
Why?
Because my dad was a history teacher, and it was the one class that I didn't want to be good at.
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah. Hopefully he's not listening.
Rebellion.
I'm going to get back at you, Dad. I'm not going to be good at history. So that you have to teach me. We have to hang out more. You showed him.
I actually didn't have him for a teacher, though. My teacher was boring. I bet I probably would have liked it if he was my teacher.
That's what I was kind of thinking. Like, I didn't hate it, but my teacher was fairly entertaining, and every once in a while swore at you to keep your attention.
But everyone who had him as a teacher said he was an amazing teacher, so I think I just missed out.
Yeah, I think you did. And you got firsthand accounts on having your dad as a teacher from your brothers, and I probably was a much different experience. Because let's be honest, your brothers probably weren't exactly the best students, right? Good dudes, probably not great students. I'd have to imagine. Let's be honest, statistically, us dudes are not great students.
Correct.
And I don't know. History is I don't know what would make someone want to go be a history teacher to like middle school or something. That's got to be one of the toughest professions in a school district.
Mm-hmm.
Besides lunch lady. That can't be easy. So listen, we didn't learn any of that in history class at all. I had a crazy history teacher that if you forgot like a pencil and you needed a pencil, yes, when we had to write things down and not use Chromebooks, if you forgot it and you wanted to borrow one, he'd make you use collateral. So you'd have to give him your shoe. So you didn't steal his pencil. Because if you didn't give that pencil back at the end of class, you didn't have your shoe. Kind of smart looking back.
History actually might be one of the easiest to teach because it's really just facts.
Wow.
You're not teaching a new strategy, a new way of learning.
And, well, that's if you believe what the history they are feeding us. But if you dig into it and you're a conspiracy theorist, our history has been lied, Meg.
I know, but what they teach you is the facts.
It's true. That they are told to teach you. And American history isn't that old compared to the world.
Right.
You know, and there hasn't been a ton of stuff. So at the end of the day, American history is pretty easy. Global history, a lot more things going on, right? That they've lied to us about. But anyways, political machine, Tammany Hall. Now here's something important though. Let's get back to it. And factual, all right?
Okay.
Hall wasn't just influential, not a TikToker influencer, you know what I mean? Like, wasn't just influential in that world. It was notorious for patronage, kickbacks, and systematic corruption. That sounds fun, right? Mm-hmm. By 1930, it had already been exposed in multiple scandals, Old Hall. Crater was considered a loyalist. All right? So now getting into some bad stuff if you're a loyalist, right? April 1930, Governor Franklin D. Roosevelt. Probably learned that name in history class, huh? El Presidente. Roosevelt himself appointed old Joseph to fill a vacancy on the New York Supreme Court. So the president is hooking this guy up in New York. The appointment was temporary until an election, but it elevated Carter significantly. He was starting to climb, Meg. He was living pretty comfy with his wife Stella in Manhattan. That's how Stella got her groove back. Did you know that? Stella Artois, the drink named potentially after Prohibition. Potentially, but probably not. So they're just kind of living this comfy life. No public scandal, no public disgrace. At least not yet. And then, late July 1930. You want to fast forward there?
Sure.
All right, what's your fast forward noise? That sounds like a fax machine. Didn't it? Or dial-up? God, we're old. Joseph and Stella Crater, they're vacationing in Maine. The Belgrade Lakes. You ever heard of that?
No.
Belgrade Lakes, Maine. Probably some lobster, huh? It was know why we haven't heard of it? One, 1930s, but two, because it was a common retreat for the wealthy New Yorkers. Not us. Not a place for us poor New Yorkers. Then a phone call comes in, Meg. All right. And this was even confirmed by Stella's later statements to investigators. Crater receives a call. And then he started to appear concerned, Meg. What do you think the phone call was about? Any ideas? You got any gut feeling? What's the word I'm looking? Instinctual, big word things you're thinking in your brain?
No.
You got nothing.
I just...
Nothing. All right. Well.
What's your... Oh, you already know.
I wrote the notes. I can't give you my gut instinct because... Okay. Well, keep thinking. Stella was then told that he had to return to New York immediately because he had to handle important judicial matters. He leaves her in Maine, returns alone to Manhattan on July 28th. Here's the thing. We don't know who called, and we don't know specifically what was said because the caller has never been publicly identified. It's not like they had caller ID back then. It wasn't cell phones. It was landlines. You can't trace a landline, especially in the 30s, right? But whatever that call was said, whatever is happening, it pulled him back urgently. It pulled him back immediately. Now this is where documented facts begin to stack up in some pretty unsettling ways, Meg. Upon returning to New York on August 1st, he then withdrew $5,100.50 in cash from two different banks. And that was actually confirmed through banking records that were actually introduced during the investigation. If you had to adjust that for inflation, guess roughly how much money that would be today. $5,100. It's roughly
$7 million.
Oh, geez, no, that would be wild. Good guess. We're gonna go with the under on there.
Okay.
Today. So close. And then he went and got some items from his safety deposit box. You ever had one of those?
No.
Me neither. But I'm going to tell you right now, if I can pull myself like a downtown Caitlin Clark card worth a couple $100,000, maybe I'll figure out a safety deposit box.
I have a fire safe box. Whoa.
Me too. Do you think they really work? This is what we should do. We should buy a fire safety box or one of them fire boxes and throw it in a fire and see if like something like some Squatch juice or some live bearded products live and survive the safety box. Are they expensive? They're expensive though, right?
Probably.
All right, we're not going to do it. If anybody wants to donate one for scientific research, then we'll do it. Anyways, then this dude is so rich, he has a chamber. What do you think his chamber looks like? Old, dusty, lots of books, law books, boring books, dusty books, lots of cigarette smoke, cigar smoke, some whiskey hidden from Prohibition. Yeah. Probably pretty cool. I want a chamber.
Leather chair.
If we ever get rich, can we put a chamber down in our basement? In the area below the kitchen? That'd be cool.
You could probably start it today.
Why? I don't have any money to build a chamber.
You could just start putting stuff down there.
Yeah. Probably nothing of value.
You could just pretend it's one.
We'll just pretend? Okay. Down in my chambers. I don't like whiskey and I don't smoke. So we won't go with the 1930s speakeasy style chamber.
Cheap beer and comic books.
But we don't have comic books.
We can pull from your library.
I do have a cool library. Anyways, he then removed at least 2 briefcases from his chambers. And he then started destroying some papers. You don't do all this stuff if you're innocent, I would have to imagine, right? What do you think he's hiding? Something, right? Office employees later testified that he actually tore up documents in his office. He came stumbling and rolling and just flying. Started tearing some stuff up. What those documents contain has never been verified. Dude should have invested in a shredder.
Or a match.
Huh?
I said, or a match.
I'm sure he probably had that. He also had large outstanding judicial matters involving receiverships, financial oversight cases that often included control of large sums of money. You know what they say, Meg? Money is the root of all evil. Mo money, mo problems. But what they didn't tell you is little money, still a lot of problems comes out. Investigators later examined whether those cases involved irregularities. Nothing definitive was actually proven. But suspicion sure did linger. Now let's slow down a little bit. Let's get back to dial up and walk through his final confirmed days, all right? August 6th. Crater spends the morning at his chambers in Manhattan. Pinky ups. Witnesses, they confirm he worked normal. He lunched at his club. He purchased a ticket to Broadway show Dancing Partner. Ever heard of it? Yeah, it doesn't sound like something I'd want to go to. At approximately 6 p.m., he met Sally Lou Ritz, potential owner of the Ritz cracker brand. Nope, probably not. You know what she was? A 22-year-old showgirl that he had known socially. Also present at dinner was his attorney, William Klein. Calvin Klein's brother, I heard. They dined at Billy Haas Chop House on West 45th Street. That restaurant was well known and regularly frequented by Broadway personalities. A lot of the Ritzies, right? A lot of people even confirmed that he was at that dinner. But then around 9:15 to 9:30, a very small window, Crater leaves the restaurant. He paid the bill, gave a very nice tip, said goodnight. He then was seen getting into a taxi. Not an Uber, not a Lyft, but I'd have to imagine one of those old school yellow taxis with the little checkers on the side, right? I think they were around in the probably not even in the 30s.
Were they yellow back then, or were they black?
What's that?
I feel like they used to be black.
30. Let me see here. Pull up an image of a 1930s New York City taxi. Let's see here. Was Meg right? Were they more black? No, a 1930s style checkered taxi of the era featured large, durable, boxy, according to. No, there's no way. That's what they're saying.
Okay.
I didn't think they were. Well, according to the youngest daughter, life was black and white back then. There was no
Right.
color, remember?
Yeah.
But then if you look, this is also obviously a picture from then. So it's hard to tell what colors they are, but that boxy style, that's pretty cool. Man, what an interesting time to be alive. All right. Anyways, gets into the nice taxi, but there's no verified sighting after that moment. Gets in to the taxi and just gone. What are you thinking? Still your gut telling you anything other than it's lunchtime and I'm hungry?
He's fleeing.
What do you think he got caught up in? Money transfers, money problems? Is he having an affair?
Some kind of scandal.
He shouldn't have hung out with old Hall, huh?
Mm-hmm.
But here's something that complicates everything. Joseph Forrest Crater was not immediately reported missing. Stella assumed he was just delayed by work. He had told people he might return to Maine soon. But then weeks go on. It wasn't until, I was going to say Friday, I don't know the day of the week, but it was September 3rd, Stella filed a missing persons report. By that point, any immediate trail was cold. I mean, you got to think, it's not like you just called, sent a text, track people on Snapchat maps or whatever, you know?
Right.
You don't know. He's a businessman. He's busy. So then weeks go by, and then police now are forced to have to try to reconstruct events that were almost a month old in 1930. No surveillance cameras. There wasn't digital banking trails, and there definitely wasn't modern forensic tools. And here they are trying to piece this all together like an all-black piece puzzle. That's 1,000 pieces. Good luck, right? So this case obviously exploded in newspapers, not only locally but nationwide. It had headlines like Missing Justice, Judge Vanishes, Political Mystery Deepens. In the New York Police Department, the NYPD, they assigned significant manpower. Reportedly, over 16,000 leads were investigated. Hundreds of witnesses were interviewed. Financial records combed through like my beard after a shower. Investigators examined all of his political ties, his personal relationships, his financial transactions, Broadway connections, possible gambling activity, but nothing concrete. At this point, there's no body, there's no crime scene, and there's not even a threat. What the heck do we have going on? Now, I think it's time to step carefully into context, all right? 30, Tammany Hall. We mentioned it before, under pretty big scrutiny, right? Investigations were ongoing into municipal corruption. Bribery in that time, Meg? Not so rare. Judicial influence was very valuable. Crater had presided over cases involving receiverships, situations where courts controlled businesses or even assets, and some theorize he had profited, well, improperly. Maybe he took some of them bribes, or maybe this case went this way because of a little bit of some money. You know, $5,000's about $100,000 in those times, they say. But to some people, that could be $7 million. There were even whispers that he might have been about to be exposed. But this is critical. No direct evidence was ever presented proving that Crater committed financial crimes. There was a lot of suspicion, and it was stemming largely from the destroyed documents, the large cash withdrawal, the briefcases, his political connections. But all of it, unfortunately, is circumstantial, right? Some believe that he just fled intentionally, right?
That's what I said.
I know. He said, you know what? It's getting hot in this kitchen. I'm out. What do you think of multi, I don't know, I was going to say millionaire, but he had some money. Where do you think he would flee to? What's the first place that pops in your brain? Let's say it at the same time. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Costa
Mexico.
Rica. Pretty close. Okay. Then my other brain said just Canada.
I know. I was also thinking Canada.
I was like,
do people really flee to Canada?
That'd be too boring, right?
I mean, but it's close.
It's close.
It's a quick getaway.
It's a little bit colder. Not so quick for us, but New York City in the 30s, it's not as quick. Although Mexico's much farther. Huh. You probably knew the Wright brothers.
New York's pretty close. No matter where you are in New York, it's still pretty.
Yeah.
If you're going to a new country, it's the closest.
True. Very true.
for New York or Maine.
True. Maybe he was like, Stella, get your groove back. We got to meet in Canada, Costa Rica, Mexico. Throw him off our scent. But there was arguments for this theory, Meg. He withdrew substantial cash. He destroyed the documents, cleared his safety deposit box. Arguments, those were like 4. Arguments against. There wasn't a confirmed sighting after 1930. He didn't use his passport. Okay. No proven financial activity after the disappearance. He left behind his wife and his established life. Long-term disappearance without identity change documentation was extremely rare, even in 1930. Possible? Yes. Proven?
How do they know if he had an identity change? If they knew he had an identity change, they would know where he was.
Well, they still had, paperwork and documentation and stuff that they would do. They still had some kind of, formal paperwork proceedings if he was going to try to have a fake ID and a fake name. They're just saying it was rare at that time to, change documentation. And let's be honest, he withdrew some cash, but not a ton of it. You would think that at some point there would be some calls, there would be something that would take some of the money out of the account, and it was just nothing. But
depending what was in his what do they call it? His vault or safety box or whatever it is.
Cash deposit box?
Yes.
True. Maybe it was a bar of gold. I don't know. I never had one of those. Just seen them on the movies. 2005, Meg. Several decades after the disappearance, a woman named Martha Tam came forward. She claimed that her late husband, Richard Tam, a New York Police Department NYPD officer, had confessed in the 1960s to knowing what happened to Crater 30 years after, at that point, right? According to her account, Crater had been murdered and buried under the Coney Island boardwalk. I wonder how many people are buried under that boardwalk. Authorities did examine this claim. Excavations and records, they produced no conclusive evidence. The confession remains unverified. But in 1939, after 9 years of absence, Joseph Forrest Crater was legally declared dead. Cause of death, Meg, was undetermined. No remains have officially ever been identified as his. Isn't this wild?
Mm-hmm.
The disappearance, it became so famous that to do a crater entered American slang, meaning to vanish without explanation. I never heard that before. Have you? I'm going to start using that when I want to disappear at the bar. Instead of Irish accent, I'm going to do a crater real quick. Although if somebody said, hey, I'm going to do a crater real quick, I'm thinking they're going to go take a poop. What pops into your mind if you say to do a crater? You got nothing?
No.
Okay. I guess that's where my brain went. So now I'm the weird one. Thanks.
Sounds drug related.
I could see that. And that phrase, to do a crater, actually appeared in newspapers and popular speech during the 90s. Crater became folklore. But behind that phrase was a real man, a real wife, a real courtroom, and a real August night where he got into a cab and never was seen again. What actually happened, you think? I mean, let's strip away conspiracy. Let's strip away mob legends. What are we left with? We're left with a politically connected judge, a mysterious phone call, destroyed documentation, large cash withdrawal, a Broadway dinner, and a taxi. And then nothing else. Maybe it was corruption. Maybe it was organized crime. Maybe it was panic and escape. Maybe it was something tragically simple. But nearly 100 years later, Joseph Forrest Crater remains one of the most famous unsolved disappearances in American legal history. A man powerful enough to shape lives in court, but powerless to stop whatever waited outside that restaurant door. And New York City never gave him back. What happened, Meg? What do you think?
I think he was blackmailed.
Think so?
And I think he was fleeing, and I think that whoever he was having dinner with was like intel, and they caught up with him.
And an inside job.
So when he was fleeing, they intercepted, and
yeah, maybe they even knew that maybe they set him up with a taxi driver that was not a taxi driver. That'd make for a killer movie.
Right.
If anybody else out there has theories, some details that we were able to not find in our research, let us know. But either way, that has been a Your Thumb podcast. What you think? Was it all right?
Mm-hmm.
Good one. Something different. Trying to mix things up, keep the viewers, not from just the same old North Country and history, mystery. That was good. I never heard that, and I wanted something a little different. All right, that's all we got. We'll do it again next week.
Sure thing.
Might as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's all we got. We'll be back next week. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.